Hello and welcome to Fashion Bites. I'm Ellen Byerrum, author of the Screwball Noir, Crime of Fashion Mysteries featuring Lacey Smithsonian, a fashion reporter in Washington, D.C., the city that fashion forgot. How does fashion wind up in a mystery? What is a fashion clue? And who cares anyway? Well, I do. I hope you do. And sometimes it's easier than you might think. Sometimes a story just comes to you and it must be written. Because many people want to know where ideas come from, I'm going to share the inspiration for Raiders of the Lost Corset, which is now newly available in this beautiful trade paperback edition. In a minute, I will read from the opening chapter. It came about, perhaps a dozen years ago, when I heard the story of the execution of the Romanovs during the Russian Revolution. This one story wouldn't let go. The Romanov princesses, or Grand Duchesses, were Maria, Olga, Tatiana, and Anastasia, and they were wearing corsets stuffed with jewels. No one knew that, so when the shooting started, bullets bounced off them and flew across the room. Essentially, their corsets, like this one, but probably stuffed full of jewels, their corsets acted like bulletproof vests. Eventually, however, the entire family and their servants were executed. The bodies were stripped and the jewels were found, but only 3 corsets were discovered. There were 4 daughters. Where's the other corset? One book, written by a man, suggested that the Romanovs were angry with Maria because she had flirted with a Russian soldier, and so they took her corset away. Really? They took her underwear away? I don't think so. These are very modest people. So it still leaves the mystery of the 4th corset. At the same time, I also read stories with an interesting anecdote. Supposedly, when the Russians were rounding up soldiers to shoot the family, the Latvian soldiers refused to shoot the children. In my imagination and in my book, they were part of the crew that was ordered to strip the bodies. So what if one corset is still out there and the secret has been kept all these years by the granddaughter of one of those Latvian soldiers? A woman who grew up in France and wound up in Washington, D.C. as a corsetier, making corsets for ladies of the night as well as for the theater. Lacey Smithsonian crosses her path, and another mystery is launched. Molly is wearing a corset just to give you an idea of what it might look like. This is the opening of Raiders of the Lost Corset. "Find the corset," the old woman gasped. Magda Rousseau was never more enigmatic, Lacey Smithsonian thought, than with death at her door. She lay draped in a profusion of gaudy jewels on her tattered old sofa, one of its broken legs replaced by several large books. The jewels were fake, of course, anyone could see that. Yet these ropes of faux pearls and necklaces of rubies, emeralds, and diamonds gave the old Frenchwoman the air of regal hauteur she sought in life. Magda had a glazed look in her eyes, a half-smile playing on her lips, and a secret she refused to divulge. Who killed her? Or rather, who had tried to kill her? After all, Lacey realized, Magda wasn't dead yet. Perhaps there was still time to save her life. But all Magda cared about was the corset. "Magda, what happened to you? Who did this?" Lacey reached for her cell phone. She dialed 911 for an ambulance and police and gave the dispatcher Magda's address in southeast D.C. With her free hand, she touched the woman's forehead. A string of false sapphires came loose and fell to the floor with a clatter. Magda's skin was cool, her face looked waxy, and her breath was shallow. She kept smiling, arrayed in her false glamour. She was still alive, though barely, when Lacey arrived at Magda's little theatrical costume and corset shop, Stays and Plays. The old woman shook her head as if trying to clear her thoughts. "Poison." "Poison? You were poisoned? How? Who?" Magda stared at Lacey, her brow wrinkled in concentration. "Don't drink the wine, Lacey. It is a very bad vintage, and it is not French." Lacey saw the nearly empty wineglass tilting out of Magda's loose grasp, its last red drops staining the pale pink rose of the sofa. She let go of the glass, but it stayed in position, held fast by the tangle of false gems. Someone poisoned her wine? But who would poison this sweet, eccentric old woman, and why? Please try to save your strength, Lacey pleaded. Help is on the way. The dispatcher came back on the phone, urging Lacey not to hang up, reassuring her that paramedics were en route. Lacey feared it would be too little, too late. Could they make it in time? She heard an ambulance wailing in the distance, but in Washington, D.C., that was an ever-present background noise. It might be headed anywhere. Do you know what kind of poison? Lacey asked. Magda managed a wry smile. The fatal kind. Let me get you some water. It'll dilute the poison. We have to do something. Lacey reached out to take Magda's hands. Come on, I'll help you to the bathroom. I can't, Lacey. She didn't move. He has my feet. What are you talking about? Lacey looked down. Magda was barefoot, the large purple veins contrasting with her bluish-white skin. Lacey knew she preferred to work in her bare feet and often kicked off her scruffy black shoes. Who has your feet? Him, l'ange de mort. Death with his icy hands. Her French accent was becoming thicker. My feet are already gone. He's taken them. I can't feel them anymore. Lacey put down the phone on the coffee table and grabbed a bolt of soft blue flannel to wrap around Magda's feet. She dashed to the bathroom and brought Magda a glass of water. Here, Magda, drink. But the old woman waved it away. So this is how he comes, the angel of death. He starts with the feet and puts them in ice. That's all I have for now. If you want to know more about me or my Crime of Fashion Mysteries or Raiders of the Lost Corset, check out my website at ellenbyerrum.com. If you like this video, please hit the like button below. And please consider subscribing to this channel. That way you won't miss any. And feel free to share. This isn't a secret society. I'll see you next time. Bye.